Have you ever felt like something about reality just doesn't add up? Like the world around you is layered with invisible threads, pulling the strings of perception? What if everything you've been told about life, about God, about yourself, is merely a fraction of a much grander truth? From the moment we are born, we are conditioned. Society hands us beliefs, systems, and expectations wrapped up neatly in traditions and rules. We are taught to seek truth externally, through institutions, religious texts, political ideologies, rather than looking within. But what if the greatest deception is not some external force controlling us, but our own willingness to believe that we are separate from the divine? Stuart Edward White, in The Unobstructed Universe, explores the nature of reality beyond physical perception. He presents a compelling idea that our consciousness is not bound by material existence, but instead, it operates on multiple levels, often obstructed by the limitations of our own beliefs. He suggests that the physical world is not the ultimate reality, but rather a filtered, restricted version of a much larger and more fluid existence. Think about this. If you could strip away all external influences for just a moment, what remains? Beneath the identity shaped by your name, nationality, and religion, who are you? Most people spend their entire lives searching for meaning outside of themselves. Yet the most profound answers lie in the realization that you are not just a participant in reality. You are a co-creator of it. This is where the illusion begins to crack. The idea that God is something separate from you is one of the greatest misunderstandings humanity has ever embraced. Ancient teachings, modern quantum physics, and personal mystical experiences all point to the same truth. Consciousness is the fabric of existence. And if consciousness is the foundation of reality, then God is not a being confined to a distant heaven, but the frequency that animates all that is. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel, is a vibration. Science has already proven that everything in existence, at its core, is energy. What we perceive as solid matter is just energy vibrating at a specific frequency. If that's the case, then what we call God is not a separate entity watching over us, but the very force of vibration itself. The higher the frequency, the closer one feels to divinity. The lower the frequency, the more one feels trapped in fear, doubt, and suffering. But here's the real question. If you were never meant to see beyond the illusion, why does something deep inside you keep nudging you to look? Why do you feel drawn to these conversations, these explorations of truth? Perhaps it's because you're not here to simply exist. You're here to awaken. And that awakening begins with a single realization. You have never been separate from God. The illusion of separation is the veil that must be lifted. Now let's go further. If our perception of God has been limited by language, then how do we begin to grasp the infinite? Let's explore that next. The nature of God, beyond human perception. If we have been conditioned to see God as something external, how do we begin to understand the divine in its true essence? The problem is not just our beliefs, it's the limitations of language itself. Every word, every concept, every symbol we use to define reality is a construct of the human mind. The word God is no exception. The moment we name something, we confine it to a shape, a meaning, a limitation. But can the infinite ever be fully captured by a finite mind? This is where the mystical traditions of the world align with modern quantum physics. The deeper we probe into reality, the more we see that existence itself is paradoxical. We are told God is light, yet we also hear of God as the great void. We say God is love, yet we also speak of divine justice. These contradictions only exist because we are trying to fit infinity into a framework that our minds can comprehend. Amit Goswami, in The Self-Aware Universe, challenges the traditional scientific view of reality. He argues that consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain, but rather the fundamental fabric of existence. If this is true, then God is not a being separate from creation, but the very consciousness that brings creation into being. Goswami's work suggests that just as the observer in quantum mechanics determines reality by the act of observation, so too does consciousness shape the material world. But what does this mean for our understanding of God? It means that the divine is not an external force controlling reality. It is reality itself, vibrating at infinite frequencies, existing within and beyond all things. The ancient sages who sat in meditation for years, seeking to merge with the divine, understood this. They did not worship a distant figure in the sky. They sought to attune themselves to the frequency of the infinite. Think of a radio. If you are tuned to the wrong frequency, you will hear only static. But the moment you align yourself with the correct frequency, the signal becomes clear. The same is true with our connection to God. When we are lost in fear, doubt, and separation, we are out of sync with the divine. But when we quiet the mind, raise our consciousness, and move beyond the illusions of identity and limitation, we begin to feel the presence of the infinite, not as an external being, but as the very essence of who we are. But if God is a frequency, then what is the source of this vibration? How does something come from nothing? To understand this, we must explore the nature of the void, the infinite potential from which all things arise. Let's step into that mystery next. The void and the infinite potential. There is a paradox at the heart of existence. If everything comes from something, then where did the first something come from? Ancient wisdom and modern science both point to a strange answer. Nothingness, the void, the silent, boundless space before creation. It is easy to think of nothingness as the absence of everything. But what if the void is not empty, but full, pregnant with infinite potential? This is a concept explored by Lynn McTaggart in The Field, where she presents evidence that the fabric of reality is not solid matter, but a vast interconnected field of energy. This field, which she refers to as the zero-point field, is a sea of limitless possibilities, where every potential reality exists before it is observed into being. This aligns with the teachings of various mystical traditions. The Tao Te Ching speaks of the Tao as the nameless origin of heaven and earth. The Upanishads describe Brahman as neither this nor that, beyond all attributes. The Bible begins with, "In the beginning, the earth was without form and void." And modern quantum mechanics tells us that particles do not exist in a definite state until they are observed. So, what does this mean? It means that existence itself arises from a state of infinite potential, where all things are possible, yet nothing is fixed. The moment consciousness interacts with this field, reality takes shape. In this sense, the void is not nothing. It is the womb of everything. If this is true, then God is not a figure creating reality from a distance. God is the very act of creation itself, the force that brings form to the formless. And if consciousness is the key to shaping reality, then each of us, as conscious beings, are co-creators in this infinite dance of existence. But how does this creation happen? How does the divine frequency shape reality? To answer this, we must explore the power of vibration and manifestation, the hidden mechanics of the universe. Let's uncover that next. The divine frequency. Energy, vibration, and manifestation. If everything in existence comes from the void, then how does it take form? The answer lies in vibration. The entire universe is a symphony of energy, constantly oscillating at different frequencies. The ancient sages knew this. The modern scientists confirm it. And visionaries like Nikola Tesla hinted at it when he said, "If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Richard Gerber, in Vibrational Medicine, explores the idea that all matter is energy vibrating at different rates. Our thoughts, emotions, and even our physical bodies are composed of frequencies. When we are aligned with higher frequencies, such as love, peace, and gratitude, we experience clarity, synchronicity, and deeper spiritual connection. When we are trapped in lower frequencies, such as fear, anger, and despair, we feel disconnected from the divine. This is why different spiritual traditions emphasize sound, prayer, chanting, and meditation. These practices are not merely rituals. They are tools for tuning the human mind and body to higher frequencies. The ancient Egyptians used sacred chants to align with cosmic forces. Hinduism describes the sound Om as the primordial vibration of the universe. Even in Christianity, the Gospel of John begins with, "In the beginning was the Word," implying that creation itself began with a sound, a vibration. But what does this mean for us? If we are made of energy, and if energy can be tuned, then we have the power to change our reality by shifting our frequency. This is why those who practice meditation, gratitude, and intentional living often experience profound changes in their lives. They are not just thinking positively, they are literally recalibrating their energy field, aligning with a divine frequency that shapes their reality. And this leads us to an even deeper truth. If reality is a manifestation of vibration, then could it be that all of existence is a thought form, a dream of the divine? To explore this, we must turn to the hidden wisdom of the ancients, who saw reality not as a fixed construct, but as a living, breathing act of imagination. Let's unravel that mystery next. The dream of the all, reality as a thought form. What if everything you see, touch, and experience is nothing more than a dream? Not just your personal dream, but a dream of the infinite, a vast, unfolding thought form in which all of existence is woven. For thousands of years, mystics and philosophers have suggested that reality is not as solid as it seems. In Kabbalistic teachings, the universe is described as an ongoing act of divine imagination. In Buddhism, the world is likened to a fleeting illusion, ever-changing and impermanent. Even quantum physics now suggests that matter is not truly solid, but is shaped by observation, by consciousness itself. Hans Peter Durr, in The Reality of the Psyche, expands on this idea, proposing that consciousness is not merely a byproduct of the brain, but a fundamental force that shapes reality itself. He argues that what we call physical reality is just the crystallization of a deeper, more fluid consciousness field, an ocean of awareness from which all form emerges. If this is true, then reality is not something that happens to us. It is something we are continuously participating in. The chair you sit on, the air you breathe, even the stars in the sky are not separate from you. They are aspects of the same dream, unfolding in infinite complexity. But whose dream is it? Is there a dreamer behind it all? The answer is both profound and unsettling. The dreamer is not separate from the dream. The divine intelligence that imagined the universe into existence is not an external being. It is the very fabric of existence itself. And since you are part of this existence, you too are an extension of the dreamer. This means your thoughts, your imagination, and your emotions are not trivial. They are powerful creative forces. Every moment, you are shaping the dream with your focus and intention. The more you believe in limitation, separation, and fear, the more your reality reflects those energies. But the more you attune yourself to love, unity, and awareness, the more the dream shifts to align with those frequencies. Neville Goddard, a visionary teacher of the power of imagination, taught that reality is molded by our inner world. He believed that everything we experience is a reflection of our dominant thoughts and beliefs. If the universe itself is a thought form, then it follows that our individual thoughts have the power to shape our personal and collective realities. But how does this process work? How does imagination bridge the gap between thought and manifestation? To uncover this, we must explore the role of imagination in divine creation. Let's journey into that next. The role of imagination in divine creation. If reality is a dream, then imagination is the brush with which the divine paints existence. Every civilization, every great invention, every movement in history has begun as an idea, an invisible seed planted in the field of consciousness. Neville Goddard taught that imagination is not just a passive mental function, it is the creative force of the universe itself. He believed that what we consistently imagine, we inevitably experience. The world outside of us, he argued, is simply a reflection of the dominant patterns of thought within us. This aligns with the ancient mystical traditions that spoke of creation as an act of divine will. In the Hindu Vedas, the universe is said to have emerged from the cosmic mind of Brahma. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus is quoted as saying, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you." Across different traditions, the message is the same. The reality you experience is directly influenced by what you hold in your consciousness. Annie Besant and C.W. Leadbeater, in their book Thought Forms, explored the unseen world of mental energy. They proposed that thoughts are not just abstract ideas, but tangible energetic structures that exist in the subtle realms. Strong, focused thoughts can shape reality, just as a sculptor shapes clay. This explains why those who live in constant fear and doubt often experience struggle, while those who cultivate faith and vision create lives of abundance. If imagination is the key to creation, then why do so many struggle to manifest their desires? The reason is simple. Most people have forgotten how to use their imagination consciously. Instead of directing their thoughts with intention, they allow their minds to be shaped by external influences, news, societal fears, and past conditioning. As a result, their creative power is hijacked by the collective dream, rather than being used to shape their own reality. But what happens when a group of people collectively focuses on the same vision? When enough individuals believe in an idea, whether it be a religion, a political movement, or a cultural trend, it begins to manifest on a large scale. This brings us to the hidden power of collective manifestation. Let's explore that next. The power of collective manifestation. If a single thought has the power to shape an individual's reality, what happens when millions of people focus on the same thought at once? History has already given us the answer. Wars, revolutions, economic collapses, and cultural renaissances. All of these are manifestations of collective consciousness at work. Jim Keith, in Mass Control. Engineering Human Consciousness examines how societies are shaped not just by external events, but by the beliefs and expectations of the masses. He suggests that those in positions of power understand this principle and often manipulate public perception to create specific outcomes. But this phenomenon is not limited to the elite. Every human being participates in the shaping of reality, whether they realize it or not. This is why mass belief systems, whether religious, political, or economic, hold such power. When enough people believe in a concept, it becomes real in the collective dream. This is why major historical shifts often begin with a shift in perception. The Renaissance was not just a period of artistic flourishing, it was a collective awakening to new possibilities. The civil rights movement was not just a political struggle, it was a reimagining of human equality. But this principle works both ways. Just as collective belief can be used to create beauty and progress, it can also be used to spread fear and division. Wars are fought not just with weapons, but with narratives. Economies rise and fall, not just because of policies, but because of public confidence or panic. Every major world event is a reflection of the dominant thought patterns of the collective. This means that if we wish to see a better world, we must start by shifting the consciousness of individuals. The more people who raise their frequency, who awaken to their creative power, the more reality itself begins to shift. But this requires an understanding of how personal perception shapes the divine. If God is a frequency, then how we perceive that frequency changes everything. Let's examine that next. The fluidity of God's form. Understanding the divine through perception. What if God is not one thing, but everything? What if the way we experience the divine is shaped entirely by our own level of consciousness? Throughout history, different cultures have described God in vastly different ways. Some see the divine as a personal being, a father, a mother, a protector. Others perceive it as an impersonal force, pure consciousness, cosmic energy, the infinite void. Some experience God through love and unity, while others associate the divine with judgment and authority. But what if all of these perspectives are true, in their own way? Sidney Jourard, in The Transparent Self, explores the idea that our perception of reality is largely shaped by our own internal state. The more self-aware we become, the more we see beyond our own projections. If this applies to everyday life, then it also applies to our understanding of the divine. A person filled with fear may perceive God as wrathful. A person filled with love may experience God as infinite compassion. Neither is objectively right or wrong. They are simply different frequencies of the same divine source. This is why mystical experiences often transcend religious boundaries. A Christian in deep prayer, a Buddhist in meditation, a Sufi in ecstatic dance, all report similar feelings of oneness, bliss, and connection to something vast beyond words. This suggests that God is not confined to any single form or definition. The divine is fluid, appearing in different ways depending on the consciousness of the observer. But if our perception of God is shaped by our beliefs, then who or what has influenced these beliefs throughout history? Could it be that there are advanced beings who have subtly guided human spirituality? To explore this possibility, we must look at the hidden influence of higher dimensional entities on our understanding of the divine. Let's venture into that next. The hidden influence of advanced beings on spirituality. If God is not a distant entity but an all-pervading frequency, then could there be other intelligences, beings more attuned to this divine vibration, who have influenced human spirituality throughout history? Across ancient texts and religious traditions, we find recurring stories of celestial beings, divine messengers, and advanced entities interacting with humanity. The Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, beings who descended from the heavens to shape early civilization. The Bible mentions the Nephilim, described as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. The Hindu Vedas tell of the Devas, higher dimensional entities who guide and protect the cosmic order. Alan F. Alford, in Gods of the New Millennium, explores the possibility that many of these stories are not mere mythology, but remnants of real interactions with advanced beings, either extraterrestrial or interdimensional. He suggests that early humans may have perceived these entities as gods, simply because they possessed knowledge and abilities beyond human comprehension. But if these beings exist, What is their role in the divine dream of reality? Some traditions suggest that these entities serve as intermediaries between humanity and the higher frequencies of existence. They appear in moments of spiritual crisis, delivering wisdom to those ready to receive it. Think of Moses on Mount Sinai, receiving the 10 Commandments. Think of the angel Gabriel appearing to the Prophet Muhammad, transmitting the words of the Quran. Think of the countless visionaries, mystics, and prophets throughout history who have reported encounters with beings of light, receiving guidance that would shape entire civilizations. But there is another possibility, one that ancient traditions have also warned about. If reality is a dream shaped by consciousness, then not all influences may be benevolent. Many esoteric teachings speak of deceptive forces, beings that feed on lower frequencies, thriving on fear, division, and control. The Gnostic texts describe the archons, entities that distort human perception and keep souls trapped in illusion. The Vedas mention the asuras, beings who oppose the divine order, sowing discord and material obsession. So how do we discern truth from deception? The answer lies in frequency. The higher the vibration, the closer it aligns with divine consciousness. True wisdom, true spiritual insight, is never forced. It is offered with love, free will, and inner awakening. Fear-based control, manipulation, and rigid dogma are signs of lower frequencies at work. If we are to navigate this reality wisely, we must remember that we are not powerless. We are not merely recipients of divine knowledge. We are active participants in the unfolding of consciousness. And this leads us to the great mystery of the soul's journey. Why do we forget who we are, and why must we awaken? To understand this, we must explore the amnesia of the human soul and the process of reawakening. The amnesia of the human soul, the journey of reawakening. Why is it that we are born into this world without memory of where we came from? If we are truly divine beings, connected to the infinite, then why do we experience life as though we are separate, lost, and searching for meaning? Many spiritual traditions speak of the veil of forgetfulness, a kind of amnesia that occurs when the soul incarnates into the physical realm. This is not a flaw in the system, it is part of the design. Dolores Cannon, in the Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch, describes Earth as a school for the soul, where forgetfulness allows for true learning, free from the biases of past experiences. If we remembered everything at birth, our past lives, our higher nature, our connection to the divine, there would be no challenge, no growth, no transformation. Imagine an actor stepping onto a stage and instantly recalling that it's just a performance. The illusion would shatter, and the depth of the experience would be lost. In the same way, life is structured so that we immerse ourselves fully, forgetting the larger truth, so that we may rediscover it through direct experience. This is why spiritual awakening often feels like remembering, rather than learning something new. It is the lifting of the veil, the gradual return to the knowledge that has always been within us. But here's the paradox. While we forget, we are never truly disconnected. Signs and synchronicities appear, nudging us toward awakening. Moments of déjà vu, profound dreams, and deep intuitive knowing all hint at a reality beyond the physical. And when we begin to tune in, when we start to question, the journey of reawakening accelerates. Many who undergo spiritual awakenings describe it as both exhilarating and disorienting. The old beliefs crumble, replaced by a deeper understanding that is often difficult to put into words. This is the soul's natural process, shedding the illusions of limitation and gradually stepping into its true nature as a co-creator of reality. But awakening is not a passive process. It requires intention, practice, and conscious effort. If God is a frequency, then how do we tune into it? How do we raise our vibration and reconnect with the divine essence that has always been within us? That is the key to the next step. Practical methods for aligning with the divine frequency. Tapping into the divine. Practical steps to reconnect. If God is a frequency, then tuning into the divine is not about belief. It is about resonance. Just as a musician must tune an instrument to create harmony, so too must we adjust our own energy to align with higher consciousness. The divine frequency is always present, always accessible. The challenge is not its absence, but our inability to perceive it amidst the noise of the material world. Michael Talbot, in The Holographic Universe, presents a fascinating concept. Reality functions much like a hologram, where each part contains the whole. This means that divinity is not something separate from us. It is embedded within our very essence. But just as a radio can only pick up stations it is tuned to, our consciousness must vibrate at a certain level to truly experience the divine. So how do we attune ourselves to this higher frequency? The process is both simple and profound. It does not require secret knowledge, religious rituals, or external intermediaries. It simply requires a shift in awareness, an intentional realignment with the frequencies of love, wisdom, and inner stillness. The first key is silence. The modern world is designed to keep us distracted. News cycles, social media, endless entertainment. These distractions keep our minds occupied, preventing us from perceiving the subtle energies that surround us. When we sit in stillness, whether through meditation, breath work, or simple presence, we create space for the divine frequency to emerge. Many ancient traditions understood this. The yogis of India practiced deep meditation to quiet the mind. The Christian mystics sought solitude to commune with the divine. The Sufis used whirling meditation to transcend ordinary consciousness. All these practices share one purpose: to silence the noise and allow the deeper reality to reveal itself. The second key is intention. The frequency we hold in our consciousness determines the experiences we attract. Thoughts are not passive. They are vibrations that shape reality. Science has already shown that emotions like gratitude, love, and joy produce higher electromagnetic frequencies, while fear, anger, and resentment produce lower ones. When we consciously cultivate states of peace, kindness, and mindfulness, we are not just improving our mood. We are literally shifting our vibration closer to the divine frequency. This is why ancient spiritual traditions emphasize prayer, chanting, and affirmations. These are not empty rituals. They are tools for aligning consciousness with higher realities. The third key is embodiment. It is not enough to think about higher consciousness. We must embody it in action. The way we treat others, the energy we bring into the world, the kindness we extend, these are all reflections of our inner state. If we wish to align with the divine frequency, we must live as though we are already part of it. This is why acts of service, compassion, and generosity have such a profound effect, not just on the world, but on our own spiritual alignment. The fourth key is awareness. Reality is constantly communicating with us through signs, synchronicities, and intuitive nudges. The more we tune in, the more we begin to see the intricate web of connections that guide us. Those who have cultivated higher awareness often describe life as a series of perfectly timed events, where opportunities and answers appear at exactly the right moment. This is not coincidence, it is resonance. When we align with divine energy, reality responds in kind. But perhaps the most profound realization is this: There is nothing to attain. The divine frequency is not something outside of us that we must chase. It is something we have always been part of. The only thing that has ever been in the way is the illusion of separation. And this brings us to the final truth, the one realization that dissolves all illusions and changes everything. The ultimate truth. You are the divine manifestation. After all the searching, all the questions, all the attempts to understand the nature of reality, the final truth is simple, yet earth-shattering. You are not separate from the divine. You never were. The greatest illusion humanity has ever believed is that God is something out there, a force to be worshipped, a distant being watching over us from above. But the deeper we look, the more we realize that God is not a separate entity. God is not confined to temples, scriptures, or rituals. God is not found in the words of priests or the doctrines of institutions. God is the frequency of all existence, and you are an extension of that existence. Think of a drop of water in the ocean. The drop is not separate from the ocean. It is the ocean in a different form. Likewise, you are not separate from divine consciousness. You are a unique expression of it, experiencing itself through your awareness, your thoughts, your actions. The human experience, with all its joys and sorrows, is not a punishment or a test. It is the divine manifesting itself in infinite forms, playing out endless variations of existence. This is why the most enlightened beings across history did not preach separation, but unity. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you." The Upanishads declare, "Tattvam asi." You are that. The Sufi poets sang of dissolving into the divine as a lover merges with the beloved. The Taoists spoke of aligning with the flow of existence rather than resisting it. But here's the part that truly changes everything. Once you realize this truth, not just intellectually, but experientially, you are free. Free from fear, because there is nothing outside of you that can truly harm you. Free from doubt, because you no longer seek validation from external sources. Free from suffering, because you understand that all experiences are part of the great unfolding of divine consciousness. This realization is not meant to make you passive. On the contrary, it is meant to empower you. Because if you are an extension of divine creation, then every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take is shaping reality itself. You are not a victim of existence. You are a co-creator of it. The implications of this are profound. If more people awaken to this truth, the world would change overnight. Fear-based religions would dissolve. Divisive ideologies would collapse. The illusion of separation between races, nations, beliefs would no longer hold power. Humanity would no longer see itself as fragmented, but as one interconnected field of consciousness, vibrating in endless forms. But this awakening does not happen through force. It happens through remembrance. And so, I leave you with a simple question, one that is more powerful than any doctrine, any philosophy, any spiritual teaching. If you knew, beyond all doubt, that you were an extension of divine consciousness, how would you live your life? Because the moment you answer that question, not with words, but with action, you will have already stepped into your true nature, and the dreamer will have awakened.